Do you ever feel like you're just waiting to be found out? Like you have no idea what you're doing and one day someone is going to see through you and spot that? Up to 82% of people struggle with these feelings, and my bet is if you're neurodivergent, it's probably even higher. Hello and welcome to Through the Noise Coaching. If you are new here, my name is Lee and I'm a leadership coach who specialises in growing the careers and the businesses of neurodivergent leaders and entrepreneurs. As an ADHD myself, I'm particularly passionate about getting us to where we thrive so that the world can see how amazing we are. There's a sentence that hits my email inbox more than any other when it comes to my coaching, and it always has the same question. Do you work with imposter syndrome? I hear it from leaders in the technology industry to CEOs who doubt themselves. We all suffer from some kind of self-doubt at some point, and today I wanted to dive into this topic. The short answer is yes. I've coached loads of people through this, including artists that have had their own work displayed on our TV. I've coached people from a wide variety of backgrounds to find strategies and solutions that work for them. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about that now, as well as sharing a strategy that works for me and my very own special brand of evidence-needing neurodivergence. I want to start a little bit by talking about the terminology and acknowledging that for some people, imposter syndrome feels really heavy. There's something about the word syndrome that makes it seem like it's a diagnosed thing or it's a thing that's permanent and we can't recover from, when really it's not like that. It is absolutely something that you can overcome, but I just wanted to acknowledge that the term feels scary, and so quite often I tend to use self-doubt instead, as that feels a little bit less clinical. I also think there are people out there who just don't identify with the imposter syndrome name because they just straight up think they can't do the thing. They don't feel like an imposter, they just feel like they're not good enough. I want to talk to this category and help you out as well. A 2020 review of studies by Bravata and team found that between 56 and 82% of people have suffered with these self-doubt feelings at some point. It was initially thought that this was more common in women than men, but actually since it's been found out to be about the same. Whatever gender you identify as, your self-doubt is normal and you can do something about it. I couldn't find any statistics about the incidence in people who are neurodivergent, but I have a feeling that it might be even higher, and I have some thoughts as to why. Us neurodivergents have grown up in a world that wasn't built for us, a world in which we don't fit in, and a world which makes that very apparent to us on a regular basis. We receive a lot of negative feedback, and that negative feedback builds up over time, and we end up internalizing that into our self-image. Many ADHDers have grown up being called lazy due to our executive function challenges, and so have worked super hard to make up for this laziness. They burn themselves out for fear of people finding out how lazy they actually are. There are leaders out there who are autistic and spend their days navigating complex interpersonal communications that are terrified of being found out as autistic and unable to socialise properly. It doesn't help that when we are neurodivergent, we are keenly aware of what we are not good at. We constantly feel the need to be making up for those deficits. Something else I've noticed, particularly with my fellow ADHDers, is that we're often plagued by black and white thinking. And so sometimes we can think, oh, I'm really good at my job, and then there's one aspect that we find really tough. And because of that black and white thinking, that can almost cancel out all the good. We forget the nuance and we think, actually, I'm really bad and I'm waiting to be found out. That leads to things like, either I stay at this job that I hate, or I won't be able to find another job that pays me enough money and I'm going to starve. We're capable of seeing the shades of grey. Anytime I say to my client what's in the middle, they are able to do it. It's just not where our brains tend to go immediately. In reality with these things, there's probably a few reasons why we struggle, where we don't feel great at what we do. But there's probably a whole load of reasons why we are actually good at it as well. We just need to take the time to spot what they are. There's also this thing called masking. For those that don't know, masking is when a neurodivergent person suppresses their neurodivergence to appear neurotypical. We mask our neurodivergent behaviours to appear neurotypical. I can totally see how this could exacerbate feeling like a fraud, because if we're masking every day, we're being inauthentic to ourselves. We're trying to cover up who we really are, and we're trying to fool people into believing we're something that we're not, in this case neurotypical. You can generalise that thought to become, well, if I'm fooling people with regards to my neurodivergence, what else am I fooling people with? Imposter syndrome is also exacerbated by comparisons to others. But in order to mask more effectively, we are comparing ourselves to others. We're finding ways in which our behaviour doesn't come across as neurotypical so that we can come across as more neurotypical. So these comparisons are making our self-doubt, our imposter syndrome feel a lot worse. One more point I'd like to make is that we often don't stop to celebrate the achievements along the way. And I'm really bad at this as well, by the way. I particularly notice this with ADHDers who tend to set really high, almost unrealistic expectations. And we don't notice on the way all the progress that we're making, all the milestones we're achieving. We have big goals, we have big ideas, and we're also often perfectionists as well, which doesn't help us. So it can be that the standards that we're trying to live up to, the ones that are giving us those feelings of self-doubt, are just way too unrealistic and way too high, and we're actually achieving super well at a more reasonable standard. The standards that we set for ourselves are not often the standards expected by anyone else. We are measuring ourselves the wrong way. So what can we do about this? One place that I actually find myself butting heads with in the neurodivergent community is acknowledging our strength. I'm neurodivergent neutral. My ADHD is neither good nor bad, it just is. But a lot of the discourse out there is constantly talking about all the negative aspects. So I really feel like I need to talk about and acknowledge the strengths in order to redress this. But I do think it's extremely important to spend time thinking about our strengths. Both the ones related to our neurodivergence, but also our individual strengths as well. Each of us are different, each of us have different things that make us amazing. By spending time investing in exploring our strengths, we can begin to rewrite the stories in our heads. It's not an immediate fix. We can't just flick the switch and all of a sudden, yes, we believe in ourselves, we have all of these strengths, we're good to go. But we can do it. I recently read a quote by James Clear in Atomic Habits that I had to stop reading and take a picture of actually because it really resonated with me. It says, "You don't need a unanimous vote to win an election, you just need a majority. It doesn't matter if you cast a few votes for a bad behaviour or an unproductive habit. Your goal is simply to win the majority of the time." By switching our thinking to focus on strengths, we start to build up a habit of acknowledging those strengths. And that starts to replace the old habit of focusing on what we're bad at. We don't have to get it right all of the time, but 51% of the time is going to move us in the direction that we need to go. 51% of the time is going to allow us to start replacing our thoughts with much more positive, much more powerful ones. I have a whole video around changing our thought processes and ways to go about this, but what I wanted to emphasize here is that we don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. We just need to win 51%. And we can gradually make that change one step at a time. When I first started my coaching business, I had a lot of doubt as to whether I could actually run a successful business. I didn't have doubt about my coaching. I've always been quite confident about my coaching since I started to get into the swing of this. But the business side is something that I had a lot of self-doubt about. I was working with my own coach at the time, who was helping me through this. And I remember one day her telling me that she believed in me. And she wasn't the first person to tell me this either. And I remember one day deciding that I wanted to make a poster of the people that believe in me. So I started writing down names. Sue believes in me, Rhiannon believes in me, Steph believes in me. The poster was called Who Believes in Me, and it was all written in coloured pen. And the idea was that I would look at it anytime that I was feeling low and I'd see those names and it would make me feel better. But like a typical ADHDer, it was on my desk and my desk got covered up by various things and I stopped looking at it. I'm also skeptical by nature about whether that would actually work. But one day I was tidying my desk up on one of those rare occasions and I noticed that under all of the colourful names in my best handwriting was a very different handwriting written in blue pen underneath. My partner had written, "I believe in you," on there. I didn't have any idea. And at first I felt kind of a swell of emotion because it's a very cute, very sweet thing for him to have done. But I also had a moment of clarity. Here is a man that I respect deeply, that I admire, that I consider to have good judgment, and he's telling me that he believes in me. That's true for everyone on that list. There are people that I look up to, people that I respect, people I believe have good judgment, and people that I believe are not going to lie to me because they're my friends and they care about me. These are people that I turn to in moments that I feel lost because I respect and I value their opinion. And they told me they believed in me. This meant that I had to question my lack of belief in myself, because if I didn't, then I was questioning their judgment too. I wasn't ready to believe in myself yet, but I believed in them and I believed in their opinions, and I could believe that they believed in me, and I could believe that. And that was enough. So this could be something to try, a list of people who believe in you. People that you respect and love and you believe their opinions. People whose judgment you trust without a doubt. Because you might still doubt yourself, but you don't doubt them. I put this exercise along with 3 other strategies into an ebook all about dealing with self-doubt and imposter syndrome. You can find it on my website, ttncoaching.com. As with everything, our brains all work in different ways, and so we need to test things out and see what works for our particular brand of neurodivergence. So try things on, keep the things that work, and if it doesn't work, that's fine, you can take it off. For now, I'm going to leave this topic here for today. It's such a common thing that many people struggle, so I have no doubt I'll come back to this again at some point. I would love for you to leave me a comment about what you thought of this video. Please leave me a like and hit the subscribe button so you can see more similar videos in the future. Thank you so much for your attention today, and I will see you in the next one.